Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Lue Reviews, the destination, your destination for critical thinking in the realm of the unexplained. Please do not forget to share the show, ring the bell. That way you're notified anytime we go live. Save those likes for the halfway mark. I'll remind you in an hour. I don't know. Something about that algorithm really likes those ones in the middle. If you really want to support the show, we've got YouTube memberships. We've got a Patreon link in the description below. So please check those out. Speaking of memberships, hello, Dana Shadell. If you are a member, your name is in green. Like Home Blizzard and Dana Shadell. Be a member. That's always fun. And Sparky Pilot is here. Our moderator. What's up? Thank you for being here. Simon Fly, Moondust, Brad Berry. There's B. Baker. There's Steve Long, Archangel Reese, Morty Matt. Where's my boy? There he is, Pat Calabria, Pinzer Lou, Dave B. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Even my haters, Hydrogen Fuel Technology. who's been here waiting for this show to start. So glad you're here, truly. You guys, we've got a fun show. You may be asking, well, what are you going to be talking about today, Lou? Yeah, good question. We're going to be breaking down the 4-minute CBS morning segment with Lue Elizondo. We'll break down the bad, the ugly, and unbearable. We'll also talk about UFO propaganda mouthpiece Matt Ford, who had a, safe to say, full-blown meltdown. I mean, he's crying for Lue Elizondo. Very strange moment in ufology. And then plus we've got two last-second addition to my one interesting UFO video of the week. We've got a second one that actually tagged McWeston. So I'm going to be interested to see what he thinks about it. You guys, let's get the show started, shall we? Let's switch to our good old Lou Reviews studio view here. And let's get to it. Let's get to it, y'all. Okay, so I'll go my trusty bookmarks. We got we got some funny stuff to talk about. Okay, we got some cool stuff to talk about. Oh gosh, it feels like this was a very interesting video. Okay, all right, let's talk about I'm gonna leave this one here for a minute. We're gonna talk about just the idea that UFOs are a cult. Because man, I've been getting a lot of shit because I've been calling out this stuff that I hear in spaces. I call it as I hear it. And man, the hosts of these spaces really hate it. And if you really hate it, maybe moderate your spaces where people aren't allowed to just rant about crazy shit. You know, moderate a space that actually has some genuine, progressive, free-thinking ideas and swapping of said ideas, as opposed to creating these echo chambers that really clears the dance floor for a lot of crazy people to come in and say crazy shit. And there's no rebuttal. There's no challenging of it. Just sheer acceptance. I don't know. For me, there's a few reasons why I listen. The first, it's fascinating. The second, it's material. Not just for this show, like for other projects I'm working on. Third, it keeps a finger on the pulse of what is really happening at the absolute stickiest and grimiest levels of ufology. In a way, it's almost like your favorite guilty pleasure reality show that you like to watch. You know, you have one. Everybody, I don't watch reality TV. You've got one. You've got a show. Mine's Gold Rush. I don't know why. I'm obsessed with that show. Of course, I've got a fiance. She loves The Bachelor. So I watch it. I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure, but there are moments I do get a kick out of it. So anyway, those are some of the reasons why I listen incognito. And another reason why I listen incognito is because I don't want my name in the room to elicit people to change how they speak. I want to hear how they speak when they think I'm not in the room. Because when I'm in the room versus when I'm not in the room, it's different. Believe it or not, it's different. So Jason Sands is now a prince, so to speak, of these Twitter spaces. He's taken this obsession from people and blind trust from people and money from people. And he's garnered himself a little reputation in these Twitter spaces for being a whistleblower and, a fighter of truth. And I could sit here and tell you about all of the crazy shit he says to these people and all of the rumors and lore that I believe he believes himself. But I could just play the audio of him saying this stuff, and again, this is, comes from an avid believer and the gentleman who also organized a GoFundMe for him and still raising money, I'm sure, because in a space, Jason Sands reveals he's having a hard time finding a job, especially in the intelligence community and or subcontracting, independent subcontracting work, post-military, which most of these guys are able to get, and they're able to keep their clearances. But Jason Sands, since retiring, has made a very public, quote, documentary with James Fox. He has just said a lot of wild things. And it's very understandable as to why someone would have their security clearance taken from them if they're saying wild things. And maybe they don't think you should have a security clearance in a top secret facility if you're spilling the beans about the program, and how non-human intelligence, he won't call them alien for some reason. He just calls them non-human intelligence. Anyway, I could go on and on and on and on. But let's play this clip that Larry, the guy who's raised money and money that he's taken, by the way, to go pay his bills. Let's see what Larry finds. He goes, Jason Sands on telepathy. Listen carefully. Okay. They are on the edge of their seats when this man speaks. And these are the kinds of things he says.
As for the telepathy, to describe it, audibly, he was speaking another language, but I've tried to describe it before and I'll repeat it here. And that is, when I'm speaking to you now, since we're all speaking the same language, we're attaching meaning to words very quickly with our brains, whether we're receiving or we're the ones who are talking at the time. So communication is very, very quick. And when I think back to the time when he was talking to me in this other language, it was like a very quick kind of knowing what he was going to say before he said it, feeling. In other words, I got the understanding of the words just before he was speaking them in his language. And the meanings seem to be exactly...
So when he says his language, he's talking about an alien being. He's describing telepathically communicating with an alien being and being able to not even predict, but sort of know the words that are going to be said before they're even said. That's how quickly he's communicating with the aliens, with the non-human intelligence. He doesn't say aliens, and he doesn't even say, he very rarely lays out the whole non-human intelligence acronym. He usually just says NHI. So it's like, especially for newcomers, it doesn't hit as hard as aliens. Like, if you're somebody new to this conversation and you just sort of plug in every time he says NHI and plug in aliens, I don't know if as many new people would get enamored by this. It's just these little things that they do to legitimize themselves.
the way I understand meanings for words myself. So there's something that goes on either in my brain or the way that their brains are. Maybe we're exactly the same when it comes to our communication on that telepathy level. It felt just like, my own thoughts were coming and going, but I had to have the wherewithal to know when, say, like emotions were displayed in some of the way that we talk back and forth, that, yeah, I felt a strong emotion of disgust at one point because I mentioned, him looking for some things that I mentioned a group of people that he didn't like. And I was like, well, I'm not disgusted with these people. That thought, that emotion must be coming from him. But I had to have that wherewithal to know that I wasn't feeling that. However, it did feel just as if I was feeling it as well as he was feeling it. So there's a emotional level there that's very raw and very synchronized when you're at that level of telepathy. And then the communication is more of a conscious effort of relaying information. So the emotional and the, I guess, spoken part of the telepathy are kind of on two different levels mentally. And that's how I would describe it.
I mean, it's a cult. It's a cult. I mean, another cult claims similar things. It's called Scientology. Very, very similar things. Okay. Yeah. Speaking of cult, we're going to just dive into this one right now. Actually, you know what? Let's do this one, because this one was pretty interesting. First let's go down to this. Okay, so let's talk about these UFO videos that came in over the weekend.
Landing.
So this is the first one. If you didn't see this on Twitter, where were you? Okay, so this was put out August 17th from this guy Santino, and there was a lot of accounts that had posted this this footage, and let's play it. And let me read the caption for the podcast audience, and then we'll play it. So this is breaking alert: UFO sighting, California. Multiple UFO sightings reported in Palmdale and Lancaster, California. Residents share eerie encounters! Exclamation points. Residents of Palmdale and Lancaster, California are abuzz with reports of 6 UFO sightings as multiple locals share eerie encounters of unexplained aerial phenomena. The mysterious sightings have sparked curiosity and concern, prompting an ongoing investigation by local authorities. UFO sightings have been reported in California, particularly in the Palmdale and Lancaster areas, with residents detailing their experiences on the Ring Neighbors app. Oh, I guess Ring has a Neighbors app. I didn't know that. The reports of multiple UFO sightings on the app, stirring both curiosity and concern within the community, describe unusual aerial activity. One person shared, quote, "You guys, you won't believe what I just saw. You guys, I saw a UFO. I was walking my dog in my backyard and I saw a bright light up in the sky. At first I was like, oh my God, what a cool plane that Northrop assembled." Who says that to themselves? Oh my God, what a cool plane that Northrop assembled. But to my dismay, it was a hovercraft. Please tell me I'm not the only one who saw it. Another resident was intrigued by the initial post and went outside with their mother to see if they could spot anything. They reported, quote, "Flying objects in the sky. I was intrigued by the first neighbor who posted that he saw a UFO from his yard, so my mom and I went out to ours to see if we'd see anything. They were too far to me to confidently say they were flying saucers. But did anyone else see multiple? Question mark. We counted 6 after being out there for about 10 minutes. Outlook News. So this is coming from Outlook News, okay? And then right below it, and this is, I love when this happens. Readers added context to this video. The video was actually filmed at Waikiki Beach in Hawaii, not Palmdale, California. So right there, you know, and there were people saying this in the comments before this warning popped up. This is new. This has happened just in the last 12 hours, I think. Because I bookmarked this, if not last night, maybe the morning before. So here's the footage. So again, for those out there in podcast land, forgive the language, as if you care. I curse all the time on here. So this is a video of a marina, which is hilarious. Like, to think that this is Palmdale. Palmdale's a fucking desert. It is a fucking desert. And people thought this was Lancaster and Palmdale. Jesus Mary. Okay, so that's red flag number one. This is clearly not where they say it is. So we see a marina. It's at night. And then we see a row of lights with a red one at the very left of it. And then 6 blue lights, separated by space in between them. And then above it, another set of lights in a very similar fashion, but with less. I only see 2 once the clip, at the very beginning of the clip. So we'll play it, we'll listen, we'll give our thoughts here.
Bro, what the fuck? What?
Okay, so first of all, are they filming? This doesn't look like they're filming it from the inside of their house, but it sure as hell sounds like they're in a sound studio. There is no outside noise or ambient noise whatsoever in the sound of this clip. So this reaction right off the bat is fake. Right off the bat, I know this reaction is fake. So what happens is the cameraman zooms in, the big row of lights, which is now sort of like, it looks like if you've ever seen Knight Rider, but instead of a red light, it's a blue light kind of pulsating back and forth in the sky between 2 red lights. And the right side of it dips down and goes straight down behind the boats. And it doesn't even actually get behind the boats. It only gets behind a set of, looks like, lights. You can't really tell because it's dark, so you don't know what's cutting it off there. And also, the framing got much darker there. Much, much darker. Here's another little red flag. Is this light right here? Maybe there's a pole right there in front of it. That could be why, but it's very convenient that it lines up with the exact flight path of these things. So let's listen to the full audio.
Fuck! What? Why isn't my phone focusing? What is happening right now? Where is it going? It's landing.
Now the second light follows it down. Okay, now it goes to second video. Beach is blocked off. Again, Palmdale. Yeah, like, how are you gonna this clip has got a watermark of the paranormal chick on it, so already you know. I mean, this video's been compressed and re-uploaded 17 million times before this guy picked it up, Santino, and they're telling the audience that the second video clip, there's a second video clip and the beach is blocked off. Who's it blocked? Is it blocked off by, you know, a force of people, or is it just always blocked off? I mean, what does that mean? Okay, so that comes up. Now let's see what happens in the second clip. Now we've got the similar lights, but they're spaced out more apart, and they're running behind, again, some set of boats. And it's almost like this person's in a car because the camera's moving. They're either in a car. Yep, they're in a truck. They're on a tow truck. Looks like a tow truck behind a tow truck, or being towed by a tow truck. Probably not being towed. It looks a little too far, but There's a tow truck there, police, and I don't even think that's the siren of the tow truck. It's not. It's actually a police car behind it. Okay, so they're clearly, whoever is filming this is in a car. Now, to me, this looks like, right off the bat, it looks like lights on a cruise ship. Like, it looks like a cruise ship, like, stepping up. But let's play it. I just wanted to get some idea of where this guy is shooting from. Yeah. Okay. So the video cuts from what looks like lights on a ship. No big deal. Okay. And then it cuts right here in the middle of this beautiful pan shot on this car, or they're walking. I'm not sure exactly how they're getting this pan shot. Okay. But no audio, just scary music. Again, another big red flag. And then when it cuts to the same lights that we see at the beginning. And also there's either a reflection down here of them. No, that's not a reflection. There's got to be another set of lights. And the lights do the exact same motion down. So I guess what they're saying is that this is a different angle of it.
Bro, what the fuck?
Same video, but different angle. Yeah, I think, obviously, this is bullshit. Like, the music is so unnecessary. Like, again, I think you got the location wrong, spooky music, fake audio, cuts in the video, no genuine reactions from people. So, again, I think this is people obviously pulling a prank here that didn't work. So, yeah. So there's that video. But then we got this little clip here. And this one
where I was.
I found way more interesting. But actually, you know what? I'm going to pull up. I've got the full clip here that we'll put here so we can all see the video a little better. You see, guys? You see, I was thinking of my audience when I did this. So this clip is from the UAP Files podcast. I will link their show in the description below so you guys can go find this interview. It's with a gentleman by the name of Aaron Devereaux, and he is a drone operator that comes from a family of aviators. And he uploaded, or he was getting some drone footage. And we'll listen to this first part of this clip here.
I said, right, time to go home. I get one last shot as I'm coming back into land where I was in the home point. Nice panning shot as I was rising up. Perfect, thought nothing of it. Landed, back on my bike, headed home. Plugged into the laptop, editing away, and my girlfriend goes, hey, what's that?
Whoa, right? That one looked cool. So for my podcast audience, it's drone footage of what looks like, I don't know, maybe Ireland. He sounds a little Irish, but it's just either a lake or ocean shoreline. I would assume lake. And then just green flat pastures that lead to what seem like some pretty rocky mountains. I mean, it's a beautiful drone shot, but again, let's also recognize this video is compressed. Look at how much degradation in this video there is. And we're going to see some real sort of aspects of that once we dive a little deeper into this. And I'm going to let the whole clip play so you can listen to what these guys did with this video. And if you don't see it yet, there's actually other little things flying from away from the camera at the exact same time. So again, I'm going to let this play. And we'll
landed, back on my bike.
We'll talk about it.
Plugged into.
Oh, and by the way, podcast audience, from the green pastures, this white object comes up out of the grass, and zips right past the camera at what seems like ungodly speeds. It's incredibly impressive. So impressive, in fact, I tagged Mick West in this because I'm like, I'd love to get his take on this. And there's some other stuff here, though, where I think I start to get a little less impressed. So let's listen and play the rest of it.
Laptop, editing away, and my girlfriend goes, "Hey, what's that?" I said, "What's what?" So rewound the footage, had a few goes back and forward. I was like, holy crap, that's really cool. So I could see this thing coming from the ground, rose up, shot past the drone really quick. I was like, it must be a bit of sheep's wool or something, you know. I was like, no, hang on a second. I was coming with the wind, and this is going against the wind. So I went back to the footage many times after that again, and I spotted two more objects in the background. One shooting left, one shooting right.
Two more objects, you say?
Okay, so this is going to be a bit different. So I've got an interview with.
Okay, so this
Aaron
is
Devereaux, who,
Jimmy, I guess the host of UAP Files. Not familiar with this show whatsoever. So this is the first time I've ever heard of the show. First time I've ever heard a clip of this of this show. So I have a feeling I know what kind of show this is or how it leans, just based off of where they took the data. But you guys decide. Here we go.
About some drone footage. So he sent me some drone footage and said, check this out. What do you think? Awesome footage. He's a drone.
Again, so he sent him the drone footage, not the raw files on a hard drive. He sent it through like a WeTransfer, email, something like that, something that can handle a big file. But again, when you compress that video, when the internet compresses it and then sends it through the cloud, and then it pops in your email and you open it, that video is really different than the original. But we continue.
Pilot, really cool guy, videographer, goes out on his motorbike, sends his drone up and puts his goggles on, he films around, usually real nice scenery. And on this particular occasion, he caught a UAP, didn't realize till he got home and was playing through the footage, and one shot past the drone really fast. And then he realized there were another two.
So the chat is going crazy, saying it's a bug. You guys are 100% convinced it's a bug. Okay. That's interesting. Wouldn't shock me. Obviously, we've seen very similar footage that turned out to be a bug as well. So I'm not gonna say that's interesting though. A lot, even our moderator, Sparky Pilot's like, it's an insect. Or maybe I'll hold judgment for a minute. Yeah. Well, let's see where we go. I love that the audience is like, Lou, where are you going with this? It's a fucking bug. I don't know. I mean, it's a good explanation. Definitely more rational than it's an alien spaceship taking off from the grasslands in Ireland. For sure. But I still want to hear what Mick West thinks about it. I've never seen this footage before. So it's always fun as an experiment to see if we can kind of figure out what it is. And yeah, just join me on this journey for a minute. Just stick with me here. I think you'll see where this is going.
That shot out of a mound near to the river or the water or the lake, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so it is a lake.
So I thought, well, let's have a chat. So let me interview you, and we can play the footage during the interview, and we can talk it through. So as I'm editing that recorded interview from a few days back,
listen to this.
I happened to spot another UAP.
Oh, he sees another one.
Been discovered before, and Aaron had sent this off to MUFON prior to sending it to me.
So red flag number one. The first place these guys send it is MUFON. Not audio-visual experts. With all due respect, you're a drone operator. And I don't know... If you had a wide lens on that drone, that shore is closer than what it appears on video. That's number one. Number two... I don't know how the parallax effect is working on this, but I know it is. I know that the object that's coming toward camera is coming at a drone that's going toward it. So you've got that aspect of parallax going as well. Or that optical illusion, rather. So, red flag right there. That none of those things were even considered yet. But let's continue, all right? So he pulls up a text. Have you seen the object at 0056 on, this clip, DJI 0, blah, 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 MP4?
This is pretty cool. So
of course he says no.
Have you seen this one? And he hadn't. So.
Okay, then he gets another text. I think I may have to delay the podcast for another day or two and incorporate this object into it as well. Ha ha ha. Which he gives a thumbs up.
Trying to edit this video, putting in some B-roll so it's real nice and sort of scenic.
So there, right there, the drone operator isn't a great editor because his wife was the first one to spot it. He didn't even spot it while editing the footage. And then this guy found another object that he didn't even see. And he's probably looked at this footage a million times. You'll hear here in a second, he showed his dad, he showed his wife, he showed his brother, like everyone that he knew has seen this footage. And this guy in a couple days, I don't know how long he had the footage, how long he was editing it for, but found another one. So all that to say is that clearly these guys are not optical experts or lens experts. So let's continue.
In cinematic as we're talking. And then I spot another one. This is.
Now he gets another one. So the guy originally misses two. Oh, go on.
The second one that I spot that hadn't been seen before.
And at 138.
Yeah. This is pretty cool.
Wow,
footage.
Nicely spotted. That's the time I'm seeing that. Ha ha ha. Well, he cuts off parts of the text here. Or does he? Oh, no, wait. Here it is. Sorry, I was cutting it off. Wow, nicely spotted. That's the first time I'm seeing that. Very cool. He responds. Let me do this. There we go.
But let's talk it through. The following is a conversation with Aaron Devereaux.
Okay, I don't know if this music is... It probably is copyrighted and probably doesn't sit in my library of music. That's a cool, dope song, though. This guy's got a cool... Hey, look, he's got the show's got a cool feel. I will give it that. UAP Files seems to have a very cool feel to it. I don't know the show. I have a feeling I wouldn't like it. But out of all the other shows I cover, this one seems to have a pretty cool feel to it.
We connected a few days ago regarding your footage. So you're a drone pilot. Can we kind of start with that? Where does that come from? Do you do that professionally, or what's the deal there?
Well, I come from a family of aviators. So my dad's a commercial pilot. Well, rather he was. My brother does a few flight lessons as well. So I took into doing a bit of drone flying back in 2017. So I went back to the footage many times after that again. And I spotted two more objects in the background. One shooting left, one shooting right. I was amazed. So I said, I got to show my buddies this footage. I showed one of my buddies a photographer and the other a videographer.
Okay, so obviously you guys see these arrows. You see these little dots, right?
I said, what is it? Is it a lens flare, or am I flying it in such a way that the sun is catching it? Or they're like, no, we've never seen that before. And I said, well, I've certainly not seen it before. I've seen seagulls and other stuff like that and other drones, but never anything like this and at that speed as well. So I don't know why I picked my dad last, but I said to him, I showed him the footage. He's the commercial pilot. He goes, wow, that's really cool. Like, I've never seen anything like that. So then I was like, right, I got to do something with this. So I contacted MUFON on YouTube. I kind of spooked them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they were found out. It's like, gone. So when I saw it, I rolled it back a few times, like, wow, there's two other objects here. And MUFON commented on that too. They saw the other two objects in the background.
Okay, so let's rewind this here real quick. I thought I was misunderstanding him for a second. Okay, so this is, I want to focus on these clips right here because
we've never seen that before. And I said,
no,
well,
this
I've
one's in
certainly not seen it
slow-mo.
before. I've seen seagulls and other stuff like that and other drones, but
okay, well, in slow-mo even, here's the object right here. And again, because this video is compressed, because this is not raw footage, you can see it's leaving a track. It's leaving a track. And again, we don't know how wide this lens is. We don't know what kind of lens he's using. They haven't mentioned that. At least, I don't know. Maybe they go deeper into the full show. Possibly. Okay. But this right here, again, red flag.
never anything like this.
It also hasn't been color corrected. I mean, obviously raw footage wouldn't be color corrected, but.
And at that speed as well.
Again, this is slow-mo. So, again, you've got a drone moving toward the object, and we can't get a real idea of what the distance is of that object. That's the other issue. Now, you can say it's insects, but if it is insects, we should be seeing more of them. And we do, but I'm saying on all the footage. Like, if he's got the full raw clip, insects just don't fly out of one place and then you don't see them again. Usually if insects are, if there's 5 of them, which there is in this case, I would assume you would see other examples of that popping up in the rest of the footage. It's like you're on a river, right? If you've ever been fishing, fly fishing especially, you're looking at what's flying in the air to match your fly to what the fish might be eating. And so when there's flies or dragonflies in the air or in the area, there's not just 5 of them. There's many of them. So I would say I figure even in a clip this short, we should see more. Like 5 insects at, I don't know. Maybe maybe there's more insects, but these in particular are flying at angles that catch the light perfectly. This is why I want Mick to look at it. But the biggest thing is we have no idea what the distance is. We have no idea if this is actually coming out of the mound or you know, what looks like, you know, look, it looks like this drone covers some pretty good space here. In a short while. It's not going slow. So
They're like, no, we've never seen that before. And I said, well, I've certainly not seen it before. I've seen seagulls and other stuff like that.
the thing is they this one and this one take off at the exact same time, which is interesting.
And other drones, but never.
This one seems to go straight up out of frame, and this is the one that comes toward camera. Let's see. Fraser Johnson with a £4.99 donation. I'm late again. I'm 30 minutes behind. You're a legend as always, Lou. Great show. UFO Cult is on the way to describe the behavior. Oh, I love it. Thank you, Fraser Johnstone. You're a legend, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Wait till you get to this part. Well, I wonder what Fraser Johnston's going to think of this. I do think, yeah, I mean, look, if I'm going to put my money on it, I'm with you guys. I'm like either insect or maybe even a flock of very small birds that have these quick twitch flight sort of, you know, if that's a hummingbird, that's just way closer. I'm curious to know what part of the world this is in. What are the indigenous birds to that area? You know, there could be, what are the indigenous insects? There could be a lot of explanations as to what we're looking at here. Alien is definitely not the first one that pops to my brain. And I, honestly, to send this to MUFON it's kind of a joke. And that's the thing here too, is I think this object is way closer than what it appears, but because if you follow this track, it looks like it could be coming even from the beach or the front edge of the beach. But again, like, we're missing data, and also the data that we're looking at is corrupted. It's not pure. It's missing data. But again, MUFON's probably going to get a copy of it, not the actual raw file. And then, of course, MUFON is going to say, well, that's an alien. It's an alien, everybody. It's unknown. We're leaning toward alien. I will say this is a good one. I always do love shots like this. I mean, this is the second drone. The first drone one was very impressive. And then, yeah, we had Mick West looked at it. And we figured out, yeah, it was an insect. More than likely an insect. Flying by the camera as the drone is going toward it. Again, you're getting a visual effect that this object is moving much faster than it appears to be moving. Or it's slower than what it appears to be moving because of that visual effect. This one also doesn't come straight out. It seems to curve just like this one did. So to me, that kind of reads as, I would say, flock of birds, man. I'm not going to go insects. I'm going to go birds, because birds, I feel, would appear at the same rate that these objects are appearing at. It makes sense that birds might get spooked at this unusual drone coming in and fly away, or maybe even toward it. It's cool. And yeah, I'm interested to see what Mick West says. And to think that there's, again,
they're found out.
There's, I don't know if that's one there. Yeah, it's moving right here. It's hard to see. This one they didn't really give us a good clip of or rewind.
So when I rolled back,
yeah, there's the other one right there.
There's two other objects.
Yep, there's the one. Oh, sorry, there's the one there. And then there's the one following it. Yeah, if I had to bet, I'd say birds. I'd say birds. Much smaller than a seagull. I think of those little, I don't know what kind of birds they are, but I've seen them in every state that I've lived in. You know, they're like these little tiny, chirp chirp morning birds. And they maneuver very well through the sky, and they fly pretty quickly. So again, if I had to bet, I'd bet on that. That's just me. B. Baker says, this is the exact same reason that Jose Escamilla's Rod's videos were popular. It's easy to fool people. He took pictures of bugs and birds and sold them as mysterious rod creatures. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that phase, B. Baker. God, that was dumb. That was dumb. That was so dumb. I was interested in that for about 15 minutes, and I'm like, man, this shit kind of looks like insects and birds. And that was like early internet days too, when that stuff was popping out. So funny. Yeah, but you're right. Complizzier says bird is a bird. Bird is the word. I love it. Sparrows. That's what they are. They're little sparrows. Thank you, Thor Panku. Appreciate the help on that one. Okay. So what do we talk about next? Well, we were talking about cults, so let's go ahead and pull up this clip. Let's pull up this character here. And if you don't know, this was actually the original sort of thing we were going to talk about today, but thankfully, the UFO gods let Lue Elizondo speak on national television for 4 minutes. So we've got some other content we get to cover. Okay. So This is Matt Ford from the Good Trouble Show. And person who clipped this also included a tweet of him telling somebody else that they're truly melting down and that they're in a cult. Juxtaposed to this clip right here.
There's a lot I know about what Lewis had to endure that I can't speak about publicly. And frankly, it gets me a little choked up.
Uh-oh.
But what this guy has had to endure in professional retaliation and harassment and the abuse from...
Professional retaliation? He still has his clearances. He can still work for contractors, military contractors. How has he suffered? He's had a TV show. He's been on every podcast on the planet. He was a GQ man of, not man of the year, but he was in there. Men of the year. He was nominated in that category. He was like in the top 100 or something. He gets to go on morning shows. What reprisals? How has his life been so fucking hard? Because of people like Stephen Greenstreet and John Greenwald just simply questioning his wild claims and finding out that none of them check out? Or is it people like me who got really close to him, fell for a lot of his bullshit, and then called him out on it, and then he turned around and blackmailed and fucking threatened us third party with a Rob Heatherly and Richard Butt? He uses sock puppet accounts to stir up shit for journalists. Like, how has he suffered? He's made a lot of money talking about this topic, whether you realize it or not. Now he's got a book. Pretty soon it'll be a movie. And you're crying for him because of the professional reprisals? He still gets to do the job he wants to do. He hasn't been fired. He quit the military. He resigned. All so he could talk about UFOs and lobby lawmakers for UFO dollars and write UFO legislation and pass UFO laws and eventually at some point take UFO dollars, tax dollars, to study UFOs independently of the DOD, of course. And guess what? They won't share anything with you, the average jerk off. These guys aren't champions for you. You're crying for this man? You call yourself a man? Even at my most ardent belief, I never cried for this man. What is wrong with you? You're not drinking the Kool-Aid. You're intravenously consuming it. You're crying. Like, I could understand if he was sitting in a cell block. Or if the swift hand of the federal government was actually persecuting him. Then I'd be crying too. I'd be yelling at the top of my lungs at my lawmakers. But that's not the case. It's not even close to the case. He's still a military contractor. It's unreal, dude. How are you this big of a sucker?
Scum of the earth like Stephen Greenstreet and others.
And calls people scum of the earth. Let's be clear. This is somebody telling him to say this. And if it's not somebody telling him to say this behind the scenes, it's like, man, I hate that motherfucker, Greenstreet and Greenwald. The researchers and journalists that made me look like a fucking liar. God, I hate those guys. And then this idiot goes on his show and literally cries about it.
The amount of stress I think this is placed on him and his family.
What? The green orbs? Was it the green orbs that caused the stress?
You can't quantify it. And somebody like him that cares so much about his country that he brags
about torturing people. He wears the badge of Czar of Torture with pride. Talked about how he remote viewed, tortured somebody with a group of his remote viewing friends or coworkers. I don't know. You decide. What a meatball.
Risks everything to get this out there out of selflessness and love for the United States. I can't even fathom the level of patriotism that
come on, you can do it, Matt. You can do it, buddy. Come on, buddy, you can do it. You can get patriotism. What other freedom words? What other fucking propaganda words can you throw in there? Patriotism, freedom, love of country. What? I mean, are you licking the boots in his closet that he's not even wearing?
What this guy has. The stuff about his book getting leaked and...
His book didn't get leaked. Nobody leaked and hacked his book. That was either a mistake by Amazon or something he did on his end. And if I have a feeling it was something he did on his end. If I had to take a guess, oopsies, sausage fingers accidentally clicked something that I shouldn't have. And I didn't realize, so I woke up the next day. So I'm going to tell Jason Sands that it was Jay Malibu from Project Unity. And then Jason Sands is going to go into space and accuse Jay Malibu of hacking Lue Elizondo's account and leaking the book. Jay Malibu is many things, but he's not a fucking hacker. I'll tell you that. Which, by the way, Jason Sands had to retract and correct. Because Jason Sands just can't help but be a tooth fairy of ufology. He so badly wants a fucking holiday after him. Sorry, pal, you're just a tooth fairy. You know, you're cool around age 6 or 7, and then parents really don't give a shit about you anymore, right? Right. You're the worst, man.
Everything going on, it just makes me sad for this country when people, veterans like him, have had to give up so much.
Name one fucking thing that this guy has given up. Name one. Go ahead. Anyone in the chat want to name one thing this guy's given up? He wanted fame. Okay? He wanted to be known. So his privacy, if you're going to use that one, get the fuck out of here with that. You don't do 800 podcasts, a TV show, try to get a book deal and a movie deal, and claim to not want to be known. You don't get to do both of those things.
Because they finally just said, you know what's going on is not the country that I'm supposed to be living in.
Okay, so you know what, Matt Ford? Go move to Turkey. Why don't you try Afghanistan? I hear it's this nice this time of year. Go somewhere else, pal. If you don't recognize the country you're in because lawmakers don't want to take your UFO legislation seriously, are you fucking for real right now? You're crying over a man who's made zero sacrifices for ufology. Zero sacrifices for ufology. Zero. For his country, he served. He's a veteran. Thank you for your service. We appreciate it. But everything after the moment you retired, everything post has been absolute garbage. Garbage. And we have a right to criticize you. We have a right to question you. That's not a sacrifice. That's what comes with the territory when you make big claims next to rock stars. When you make big claims on 60 Minutes and big callers. That's on you, man. And if you want to bring truth to the masses, show somebody something, for fuck's sake. Give us a name of a program. Give us the name of employees. Where is the program located? Who worked on it? What were they working on? Anything. Who funded it? You call yourself a whistleblower, whistleblow, asshole. Real whistleblowers usually know they're going to face some kind of jail time. They know that before going into the whistleblowing business, hoping that justice prevails. And sometimes it takes decades. But if you really want to make a sacrifice, actually whistleblow. But you're not, because you can't. You can't. Everything you've said, everything you've brought to the table has been a lie, has been lore that you heard from somebody. And you're using either as your own story, your own experience, or you're tying it to your belief system, which you've admitted you don't have one when it comes to UFOs. But yet you were terrorized for 7 years by green orbs. Which one is it, buddy? Which one is it? And then you got this guy crying for you? This is who you replaced me with. This is what you wanted. A crier. A guy who can't name one fucking sacrifice you've made for ufology. The thing that you've been championing and the reason why you retired. Because you felt the world needed to know. Well, show us. Why? Oh, I got a book. Imminent. Which doesn't answer any of your questions whatsoever. And we're going to see examples of that. But before we do, like the show. If you're still here, you haven't liked it, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't shared the show, share the show. That'd be great. If you haven't donated to the show, hey, give it a shot. We've got memberships, we've got super chats, we've got Patreon. Links are in the description. Okay. Now that we've gotten through this crybaby ass, let's see. Do we get to Elizondo? Are we there? I think we are. No, wait. Wanted to show you guys this. This is really cool. Again, tech stuff that people are working on in their garages. Now, I don't even think this guy has a garage. It might be his living room. Okay, so this guy, this is the guy who shared this video. Quote, this gentleman's name is Cayman. Quote, I built a powerful exoskeleton suit that gives me superhuman strength. This took me 3 years. And so it's hashtag exosuit, exoskeleton, mech suit, mechanical engineering, and hashtag engineering. This is real engineering, folks. This is what it looks like. And imagine if this guy built this in his house, Lord knows what the military might have when it comes to exoskeleton technologies. But check this out. This is so cool.
I made a powerful exoskeleton that takes my strength to the next level. 3 years ago, this project started off as a basic plastic frame and evolved into an engineering masterpiece after a series of failures and setbacks.
I don't know what kind of music that is, but I'm going to pause it here for a second. Adjust my desk. And this is a cool video because, again, he's like showing the steps that he took to build his exoskeleton. This is pretty dope.
Setbacks. One of my biggest goals since starting this project has always been to either lift or pull something.
Yes, and now, I mean, like he's showing video of him, you know, lifting a dumbbell with 45-pound weights on each side, some sort of pressure generator. It looks like a suitcase or a really heavy backpack, maybe.
As heavy as a car. Since majority of my designs were mostly made of plastic, I had to figure out a way to harness strength without breaking the frame by snapping my arms in half. And because the goal was to either lift or pull something as heavy as a car, I had to create a metal frame and then attach a car winch to it and connect that to my arm in order for me to pull it with ease. So after designing, building, and painting the suit, it was then time to test it out on the car.
Of course, this guy paints it like Iron Man. I mean, it's cool. So he's attached a winch to this suit, and now he can attach that to a car, and without breaking his bones or putting tension on his actual body, he could pull this vehicle. 2,500 pounds he's pulling. We're using, he tells you here in a second, like 25% of his power. Pretty sure I'm gonna mute this music. Yeah, he says here the suit is doing 85% of the work. So it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool what engineers and humans, again, what humans are capable of. And this idea, like, can you imagine in my line of work right now, I pick up a lot of elderly people going to the, you know, doctors' visits and stuff. Hospitals pay for Ubers for patients that can't drive there themselves, and it's actually a great program. They don't have to pay for it. The hospital pays for it. Everybody wins. Sometimes I have a real hard time getting in and out of a, you know, Honda Accord. You know, most of the times I'm helping them get out. I've got their walkers and all that stuff. So, you know, imagine if they can get in and out of a contraption like this and only have to use 15% of their strength to navigate the world. I mean, there's a lot of applications for something like this. You know, I'm thinking steel workers, things like that. Or like assembly line workers that have to move heavy pieces. I mean, there's so many applications, really good humanistic applications for something like this. I don't know. Honestly, I mean, people will go, well, there's also a lot of like evil applications for this. And I'm sure that, you know, if you got a couple terrorists that grab these things, yeah, that'd be maybe some scary, but I don't imagine, I mean, I can't see warfare being a, you know, like hand-to-hand combat where you would, you know, need this. But, you know, I guess obviously the United States is stationed all over the world, like having our soldiers have an exoskeleton like this while they patrol streets in foreign countries. You know, you had like say an IED roadside bomb that went off and flipped a truck on somebody, or maybe trapped somebody inside the truck. With an exoskeleton like this, you'd be able to flip it over by yourself. Now, if you had 2 or 3 guys with this thing on, I think you'd do it even quicker. So, you know, again, military applications, and also I think a lot more civilian applications. Anyway, something I thought was really cool. Oh, this was another little rant. I forgot this one. I should have played this with the other Matt Ford rant that we had, the crying, the Matt Ford moment. This clip was from Ruby, who's a big UFO believer. And she writes, a strong message from Matt Ford to Travis Taylor, Brandon Fugel, and Jay Stratton. Quote, you're jeopardizing the national security of the United States by lobbying against the UAPDA. So just a little background, if you don't know, if you're new to the show, if you're new to this situation, you've got the UAPDA, which is the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act, which is something that they're trying to squeeze into the NDAA, which is a military budget that is approved every single year unanimously by both sides of the party. It always increases spending, and people like the Americans for Safe Aerospace know this. And so that's why they're lobbying lawmakers to make sure that this UAPDA gets put in, because it's going to set aside dollars for companies, for nonprofit organizations like the Soul Foundation, like Americans for Safe Aerospace, like NANU, and all these other stupid little orgs that are going to petition the government for some of these dollars to look at UFOs independently. We've spoken about this a billion times. Now, you've got one side who's trying to get this through, okay? Primarily the Elizondos, the Gary Nolans, okay? And then you've got a fraction of the group, and then another faction that has sort of been created. And it's the Skinwalker Ranch, Brandon Fugel side of this spooky paranormal discussion. And Brandon Fugel genuinely thinks he has a spooky ranch. And he genuinely thinks UFOs, he genuinely thinks his ranch might be sitting on top of a UFO. That is something that they definitely have theorized on the show. It's something that I think they really believe, but they'll never be able to prove because they don't own the land underneath the land. They can only dig. That's why they can only dig so deep. They can't go past a certain depth because they don't own the property underneath the ranch. That actually does not belong to them. So they could say, oh, there's a UFO hidden underneath the ground. And Brandon, let's just say for a moment that he was right. Let's say a UFO crashed or there was something underneath the ground that they were able to get a piece of, okay? His argument is, well, if I own the ranch and I get the technology, I want to have proprietary ownership of it. I want eminent domain on the technology. I want to be able to take advantage of it first. I found it. It's mine. I want to reverse engineer it. I don't think the government has a right to come in and take that technology if I find it. To which I listen and I go, yeah, I agree with that. Who in their right mind would disagree with that? And so because there is no wording in the UAPDA that covers eminent domain for people like Brandon Fugel and Travis Taylor, who's a, quote, scientist. He is a scientist, but all he does is shoot rockets in the air to find, portals that aren't there, and convince his billionaire buddies that they should keep spending time and money on this. When Fugel, you could be, it doesn't matter to you, dude. You have all the money in the world. This is peanuts for you, man. So if this is the toy he wants, instead of owning like an NFL football team or I don't know, whatever, getting a professional baseball team to Utah, now he would much rather have the state of Utah have a spooky ranch with spooky conventions that drive revenue for the state, the city, the counties that he does real estate in. So therefore he can go back to the city and get better negotiating deals when purchasing lands. So I get it, right? I totally get it. But that's where the split comes in, is they are petitioning lawmakers and they're telling lawmakers, hey, this UAPDA does not cover eminent domain. We don't think you should support it. And there are lawmakers that are actually listening to that because they agree. Like, especially like a Tim Burchett. You think Tim Burchett is going to trust the government to take the UFO piece and reverse engineer it, then tell us about it, tell what they've found? He doesn't trust the government to do that. He'd much rather have a Brandon Fugel to have it and to reverse engineer it and give us answers on it, even though Brandon Fugel probably wouldn't do that because he doesn't do that with his ranch. Like, he's got BYU pretty much down the road. And there's no biologists, there's no scientists, there's no astronomers, there's no physicists from BYU or any other of the 28 universities in the state of Utah that have been on that ranch to study it, genuinely study it. Not one. And he hasn't invited any of them. Why? If you want answers and you want proprietary eminent domain over the things you find, you figure you'd get a university out there and collecting as much data as you can. And they do it for free. You have students that would do that. They could absolutely scour every inch of that ranch and determine, okay, are there portals here? Are there dino beavers? Are there werewolves smoking cigarettes in trench coats? Are there tubes, silver tubes showing up at different homesteads? Are there fucking wormholes? Is there a UFO underneath the ground? Are there ghosts? Is there a skinwalker? I feel like a university would probably love looking into something like that. At least one of the 27 or 28 universities that are in the state of Utah. I can't remember exactly how many. But again, a question I asked Fugel. Why haven't you invited any of the universities in your state to fucking come look at this? Because there is no this. And when you look at the paperwork for the company, it's an IP. Skinwalker is an IP. It's an intellectual property that no studio or comic book writer or TV show can take that name and use it now anymore because Brandon Fugel owns the rights and the IP to Skinwalker Ranch and Skinwalkers. Like that whole lore, he owns it now. That's his. So if you want to use it, you got to pay him royalties. And so, yeah, you've got these two sides pulling and pushing at this UAPDA. And so what is and the part that is the strangest to me here before I play this video is you've got Jay Stratton, who is, for all intents and purposes, really good friends with Lue Elizondo. And this is not the only example of this camp of people speaking out of both sides of their mouth. Like, in one breath, we're criticizing Stephen Greer. In the very same episode, we're talking about how we hired his attorney to represent us. In one interview, you've never seen a UFO, or you hint maybe you've seen one. You don't want to talk about it because you don't want to muddy the waters. And then you go on Linda Moulton Howe, and all of a sudden you've seen a UFO. You write a book, and now orbs have been terrorizing you and your family for 7 years. Which one is it? Now you've got Lue Elizondo saying, hey, we need to get this UAPDA passed right now to get this funding. And then you've got Jay Stratton going, nah. No. We need eminent domain. It's so strange. The messengers are always speaking out of both sides of their mouth. Or if they're not the same person speaking out of both sides of the mouth, it's people from the same camp coming out and saying completely opposite fucking things. This is one of the many red flags of things that I would listen to every interview that Lue would do. And depending on which host was sitting in front of him, depending on what outlandish thing he was going to say. So let's see what propaganda mouthpiece Matt Ford has to say about this whole situation.
You know, there's the eminent domain thing is an issue, and certainly there are some legal questions.
Oops. Sorry, guys.
The eminent domain thing is an issue, and certainly there are some legal questions, and they are fair questions to be asking. But no piece of legislation, folks, as we all know, is perfect. Nothing is. Nothing in life is perfect. Nothing in life is black and white. And to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I'm speaking to you, Travis Taylor. I'm speaking to you, Brandon Fugel. I'm speaking to you, Jay Stratton, to go and lobby.
So he is calling out all three of those people for who? I wonder who he's doing that for. And has he stopped to ask himself, what the hell happened here? Like all of a sudden Stratton and Elizondo aren't on the same page? What's going on?
For Congress to throw this entire legislation out the window, Brandon Fugel, Travis Taylor, Jay Stratton, you are jeopardizing the national security of the United States, full stop.
Brandon Fugel, you're jeopardizing the national security of the United States because you want eminent domain over the UFOs you haven't collected yet. I retweeted this and wrote something along the lines of, this is like Amazon Prime arguing in court that they own the rights to the shipping routes of Santa Claus, and Walmart countersuing, go, no, you don't. We had an agreement in place with Santa Claus. You guys don't get the routes. We do. This is so stupid. This argument is so stupid. And this guy coming out like he understands what's jeopardizing national security. Well, I'll give you a taste of it here in a few minutes.
Because if you and others derail this legislation, it's not going to go well. And it is.
Okay. Well, that was a long fucking pause there. Listen to that pause. He doesn't know what to say because he doesn't know what happens if this doesn't go through. What happens to his show if the UAPDA fails? Which, by the way, guys, call your congressman. Use that, the UAP, go to UAP Caucus on Twitter, use their call list, and simply call and tweet at those lawmakers. If you don't live in the country, tweet at them that the UAPDA is a massive waste of American taxpayer dollars. And UFOs don't need to be looked at by any independent groups outside of the Department of Defense, because they've already done it and they wasted $22 million. It was called OSAP. Please don't repeat the mistakes of the past. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And then hang up and go on your way.
Legislation. It's not going to go well, and it is going.
It's not going to go well. Well, how descriptive. What the fuck does that mean? It's not going to go well? What, like, are people going to show up at Skinwalker Ranch with petitions and or placards and you know torches and pitchforks? Like, what's not going to go well? The same, I tell you, the sun is going to rise the very next day, just like it did the day before, Matt Ford. Whether it passes or it doesn't. And it's not looking good for you guys so far. Not gonna lie.
Going to basically force a catastrophic disclosure.
And why wouldn't you guys want a catastrophic disclosure? I'm so confused as to why UFO nutballs and crazies are so afraid of the catastrophic disclosure. because that means everybody knows. Catastrophic disclosure means everybody knows, as real as the sun, that aliens are here. Why don't you guys want that? Why is that such a scary outcome if this legislation doesn't get passed? You should be rooting for the UAPDA to fail so you can get catastrophic disclosure. That's what I want to see. I'm tired of the trust me bros and acts and bills. If you guys got catastrophic disclosure, can you do it already? We're ready for it. Catastrophic disclosure, bring it on. Let's go. Been waiting for it for a long time. But for some reason, Matt Ford thinks it's scary and bad. I don't know, like, what?
And it is going to happen. This disclosure is going to happen one way or the other. It's going to happen catastrophically, or it's going to happen in a controlled way. And
who controls it? And why are you advocating for the control of it? And what do you give a shit if they are ushering in one or the other? Either way, catastrophic disclosure, you get all the answers you're looking for. Controlled disclosure, you get the same 80 years that you dickheads have been having for 80 years. I don't get it. What is it with you? Pick a fucking, you have been talked into such a fucking whirlwind of stupidity. Your philosophies are crossing each other. Do you want truth or not? I want the truth that the government can't control. I'll take that one. And if you want to call that catastrophic, okay. I'll call it welcomed. Simply welcome disclosure. Been waiting disclosure. Take your pick.
And the only way to control disclosure is by passing the UAP Disclosure Act for the National Defense Authorization Act of 2025. Period. The end.
Period. The end. So there you go. You have it from the horse's mouth. He prefers controlled disclosure over catastrophic disclosure. Please, someone in the UFO community explain to me how catastrophic disclosure is a bad thing. And if you give me some bullshit like ontological shock, I will slap you in the mouth. That's this dumbest thing I've ever heard. Humans are ready for this. There are over 20 movies made every single year about this topic. From independent films to major blockbuster things, to comic books, to TV shows. It's ingrained in our subculture. People are waiting for this to happen. And this goes back to this stupid video that we covered before with the lights that apparently were in Palmdale, but it was actually fucking Hawaii. The thing I did like about this is it had two angles to it, but it also goes to show you that if these things happened at the occurrence that they happen over the cities that they claim to happen over, we should have multiple angles of, we should have hundreds, if not thousands of videos of ranging from orbs to motherships over cities, towns, parks, games, wherever the claims are made, schools, wherever. Because there are so many damn phones in the world, it is impossible to get a display like this, say, over a major metropolitan area without hundreds of people recording it. And that's the problem with UFOs, is we don't get any of those things ever that are verified real videos, a real event. And every time we do, it turns out to be fake, like this one, or like in the case of during what happened during COVID, when people stopped on the New Jersey Turnpike because it was the first Thursday night football game in almost 2 years, and people forgot what a blip in the sky looked like, and it stopped the New Jersey Turnpike so people could film what they thought was a UFO and turned out to be the Goodyear blimp. Filming Monday Night Football and getting sky shots for the TV crew. So, again, believers, where's your fucking evidence? You've got nothing tangible, nothing substantial or that's got layers of depth to it. They're only surface level bullshit internet videos that have been uploaded 15 different ways from Sunday and cannot be relied on whatsoever. There's never any raw data. There's never any raw audio. There's always spooky music to it. Like, I don't understand how you can't understand that there's more data going against your belief. It is flabbergasting to me. I think most of it is just personal experiences. Okay. So let's take a look here. This is CBS This Morning, and I'm going to be stopping this quite a bit because I know this will definitely get copyrighted. So we'll be pausing it so that way I don't get hit with the copyright on the show. But let's take a listen. Let's go ahead and do this as well. Fair use. Where is my fair use banner? Oh, gotta do this. There we go. Fair use. We are educating the public on the videos that we are sharing. This is covered under fair use and allowable by law. We're also critiquing them. So here we go. CBS This Morning. Oh, and by the way, before I play this clip, just to give you an idea of what's important, what's more important to CBS mornings than UFOs. Okay, so it's Green Street broke down the entire show in 10 segments. So first day of the DNC got 6 minutes of coverage. Storms flooding the Northeast got 2 minutes of coverage. Labor Day travel to break records got 2 minutes of coverage. Guitarist releases first album in, guitarist releases first album, 7 minutes of coverage. Teen graffiti artists, 9 minutes of coverage. Man claims alien space monsters are invading Earth, 4 minutes. If this does not, 4 minutes, that teen graffiti artists got twice as much time as the greatest secret on the planet? Why? That's weird, huh, guys? That's super weird. Anyway, let's listen to what this guy's got to say.
He is the author of the new book, Imminent, Inside the Pentagon's Hunt for UFOs. In it, he writes these crafts.
Again, I love how he puts UFOs on the title. He's spent, since 2017, he has spent so much time on changing the acronym from UFOs, because there's too much stigma attached to it, to UAP. It's like 7 years now. He releases his first book. It's not the hunt for UAPs, it's the hunt for UFOs. And so they've got a graphic of his book with the gimbal, which, by the way, again, I think it's been, and it's about to be, I think, officially debunked by the Aero Office soon, because they're recreating this in a lab, and they're going to get with a real gimbal and get a final answer on what this could be. But I think Mick West has done a bang-up job at basically, it's more than likely a plane or a drone. And there's missing data on this as well. So it's tough to say either way. But when the biggest champion of this video is a gentleman by the name of Marieke von Klompenstick. Nope, it's Marieke von Rennenkampf. That's his real name, but we call him Marieke von Klompenstick around these parts. We've talked about him many times on this show. He had a gimbal expert come into a debate with Mick West and the gimbal expert, and even the gimbal expert said, yeah, all of those malfunctions could happen to make it look as though this video is more extraordinary than it is. Malfunctions happen. Equipment gets dirty, used, and swapped from plane to plane all the time. We've got a whole episode discussing the gimbal and that whole debate that he brought his own expert and got debunked by his own expert. So again, they're using graphics, that are not evidence of anything, with quotes saying ... not made by humans, end quote, a very serious national security issue. These are the quotes from the book. So let's see.
Are not made by humans, and they present a very serious national security issue.
Is there an echo in here? What's going on? No, I'm kidding.
Lue Elizondo joins us first right here.
Okay, so first of all, he looks good. He looks rested. He's still got callers that are, I'll let another video speak for the callers. Dude, this guy, he's so funny. But yeah, nice jacket. He looks fresh and clean. Still rocking the goatee. Oh, look at that. We're both wearing like blue. Well, he's got a polo, but I don't know if I can get my collar quite as big as that one, but anyway.
On CBS Mornings, welcome.
Thank you. My honor and privilege.
Yeah, a lot of people.
My honor and privilege.
You don't believe in UFOs, or you are someone that definitely believes that there is something out there. You talk about this idea of these crafts being created to, quote, be friends from out of town. What makes you so certain that they're not made by humans? And also, if I could, early in your book, you said when governments lie to their people, all of democracy is at risk. Do you?
Yeah, she didn't read this book. She didn't read this book at all. I think maybe either they gave her the quotes, or obviously they had producers to pull those quotes from the book so she could read them those questions. Let's see if they bring up the torture. Let's see if they bring up the difference between OSAP and ATIP. Let's see. Yeah, let's see any of those things. Let's see any of those things.
Do you think the government is lying?
Well, we know that the government never lies, right? Iran-Contra, Pentagon Papers, Afghanistan withdrawal. No, unfortunately, the government is not this huge colossal machine, if you will. It's segregated into these little fiefdoms, if you will. And unfortunately, they don't always coordinate and talk with one another. As far as these vehicles not being made by humans, if you will, that's not me saying that. We have...
If you will, yes, it is you saying that. It is you saying that.
Scientists, some of the top scientists that your taxpayer dollars have paid for.
He's talking about Hal Puthoff, who we read last week. He is in the Encyclopedia of the American Loons. He was a former Scientologist and part of the Stanford Research Institute. He made up fake claims, built a patent off those fake claims, and the patent got stripped from him 5 years later and is used in patent law as what not to do. And just because your taxpayer dollars go towards some kooky scientists that work in our governments or parts of our government doesn't make him credible or knowledgeable. And when you say these things, it's not like you said Hal Puthoff said these things are real, or Kit Green said these things are real, or Travis Taylor. These are the people he's talking about.
For for them to conduct this research. And at the end of the day, when you're studying the material and you're studying the capabilities of these vehicles, and frankly, there's nothing that we have that compares.
What material? What material have we recovered that you have? Again, is anybody going to be like, hey, what material? What material are you talking about? Because according to the Department of Defense, the material that you guys gave them through a CRADA agreement when you were working for To the Stars Academy, that turned out to be a missile casing from the 40s. So, what do you mean by that?
To what these vehicles can do, the capabilities that they're demonstrating in front of us, then one has to ask, well, where are they from? And if it's not our technology and it's not some sort of adversarial technology, it's someone's technology.
In a statement to CBS News, the Pentagon spokesperson said that the department will follow the data wherever it leads. However, to date, we have not found any credible evidence of extraterrestrial activity. Are there other explanations that should be considered? Is there hard evidence that this is a non-human technology?
That's a great point. And
is there hard evidence?
We need to look at this from a temporal aspect, a time aspect. I think if you were to look at it now and say, well, there's no evidence these things are, if you will, not human. The reality is we've been dealing with this.
I love how he puts it on them, if you will, non-human. Asshole, it's your book. You're the ones who came up with non-human intelligence. Now he's skirting away from it? No. You were terrorized by orbs in this book. Why are you putting it on them? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Well, Plizzier with a $2.34 donation. Elizondo's book is a nothing burger. Agreed. A big fat nothing burger. But let's continue.
This topic as a government for decades. So it's not like there's some sort of adversarial technology that just popped on the proverbial radar that's ahead of us. This is something we've been dealing with as a nation for 60 years. So let's put that into perspective. This would be like going into King Tut's tomb for the very first time
What?
and finding a fully assembled 747 inside the tomb. It doesn't make sense. Right? From a time perspective, we're talking the 1950s, the late 1940s, where this technology has been demonstrated over controlled U.S. airspace, over some of our most sensitive military installations. And by the way...
So he's got nothing new. No evidence. He's going to fucking lore. He's relying on lore, and he's giving you an analogy of if you walked into King Tut's tomb and you found a 747, it doesn't make sense. That's not what you're doing here. That analogy does not fucking work whatsoever here.
By the way, there's official U.S. documentation that substantiates this.
You know what?
No, there's not. And the documentation that is the most compelling is provided by the CIA and the Air Force. Not exactly reliable. Reliable when it comes to not using information to cover real tech.
Well, I really enjoyed your book. I thought it was really eye-opening about the secrets that people keep. You make a point of saying...
Again, you didn't read this book. If you read the book, one of you should ask about the torture. The Czar of Torture. This is a book about the secrets that people keep. That is the most, blanketed... review. You could almost say that about any fucking book. Ugh.
You believe
the lack of work, man. I don't know why it still shocks me. It still shocks me. The lack of work production companies and assistants do when actually researching these things.
Secrets have an expiration date. And it seems you and your family really went through hell as part of your job, both physically and mentally. And at one point, you ended up quitting your job, and your wife said to you, "Who quits a job without a job?" And you said to her, what?
Well, I said to her a lot of things, I'm sure. At the end of the day, I made the decision to leave my job and
He can't remember. He can't remember what he said to his wife. That's a quote she really wanted to say. Hey, you said this to your wife. Your wife said, how do you quit a job or you don't have, or blah, 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 blah. Well, I said a lot of things. He doesn't remember the quote from his own fucking book.
do this topic because it was the right thing to do. And I don't think my family would have respected me if I didn't.
You said a man who can't live with himself. That's a line that stood out to me. But why do they want to keep this a secret? And what do you...
She told him the quote. He can't even remember his own bullshit. That should be something you remember, right? Like, that's a pivotal moment, at least according to her, or whoever pulled that quote, whoever read the few pages leading up to that quote.
What do you mean that secrets have expiration dates in less than 90 seconds?
Sure, less than 90 seconds. Well,
you've got 90 seconds, UFO guy. You know what? It wouldn't shock me. And again, he gives long-winded answers, and I think that's the producers in her ear going, tell him he's got 90 seconds. He's got 90 seconds to sell this fucking book, pal. And I don't think you've done a good job of selling it. They ask you for evidence, and you go on a diatribe and start talking about King Tut. You're not exactly selling this book.
secret.
They're asking for a fucking quote, a pivotal moment in your life between you and your wife, something that you wrote in the book. It stuck out to somebody for them to pull it, and you can't even remember the fucking quote. They had to repeat it for you.
Secrets are made to protect two things, sources and methods. They're not designed to stop, if you will, the American people from learning the truth about embarrassing things or trying to hide things. This is a topic where I believe America can handle the truth. And I think America deserves to know the truth about this topic, about your taxpayer money.
What's the truth, pal? What's the truth? We're waiting. We've been waiting for 7 years. What's the truth?
Been spent over the decades to try to figure out just what the heck is going on. Look, you have former directors of national intelligence, former directors of CIA, and even former presidents all coming out saying, yeah, this is a valid and real topic and a national security issue.
Yeah, and I think there's so much information in that book we so appreciate and wish we had more time, Lou.
Yeah, sorry. We gave 9 minutes to the fucking the skateboarding spray paint artist. Sorry we couldn't make an hour of time for the most important story on the planet. Sorry.
Lue Elizondo, thank you for coming in. Imminent goes on sale tomorrow wherever you buy your books. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Lame. This version of the interview, infinitely
Lue Elizondo
better.
Joins us first right here.
Thank you. My honor and privilege.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, even if you don't believe in UFOs or you are someone that definitely believes that there is something out there, you talk about this idea of these crafts being created to, quote, be friends from out of town. What makes you so certain that they're not made by humans?
The government never lies, right? Iran-Contra, Pentagon Papers, Afghanistan withdrawal. No,
We so
unfortunately...
appreciate and wish we had more time.
This is a valid
Lue
and real
Elizondo, thank you
topic
for
and a
coming in.
national
Imminent
security
goes
issue.
on sale wherever you buy your book.
Bye.
Lue Elizondo joined.
I mean, honestly, we got the exact same information out of that parody version from Cosmic Judas in the 36 seconds we got the exact same information as we did in the full interview. The full interview. B. Baker writes, wait a minute, did Peter Levenda ghostwrite Elizondo's book like he did for Tom DeLonge? I don't know. Maybe. I didn't know Peter Levenda ghost wrote his book. But it is weird that he doesn't remember a very pivotal moment for national television. I mean, she was like setting him up for an alley-oop or under pitching him a huge beach ball for him to just knock out of the park. And he fucking struck out. Again, like 6 minutes to the DNC, 2 minutes to storm flooding, 2 minutes to Labor Day travel, 7 minutes for a guitarist who releases his first album, and a teen graffiti artist, 9 minutes. Most important claims on the planet, 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Get the fuck out of here. Keep going down this rabbit hole of sludge. At the bottom of it, guess what there is? More sludge. More sludge. This is great too. This is something we should talk about. Average Chris posted this, and this was something that John Greenwald had put out. So let's read this part of it. Here's the Dobson approval letter for Lue Elizondo's new book, Imminent. This is shared with permission by Mr. Elizondo, who shared this to the Black Vault to pass on. So, dear Mr. Elizondo, this is a response to your May 30th, 23 correspondence requesting public release clearance for the manuscript titled Elizondo Project. The manuscript submitted for pre-publication security review is cleared as amendment for public release. Okay, so just real quick, if you don't know, the Department of Defense has an office for pre-publication and security review. So what this office does is if you're in the government and you're going to write a book about the government or things that you've done for the government, this department will read that manuscript and say, okay, this is classified, you got to take this out. This is classified, you got to take this out. Everything else here, okay, cool, approved, go for it. And when it says approved, that means that none of the other things in that book are classified information. So it could be true. It could be totally bullshit. That's not what DOPSR is determining. They're just determining what information is classified versus what information isn't. So you can write a book about slaying dragons, and if there's classified information there, they're going to take it out. If there's not, they're gonna let you write about slaying dragons. It's got no bearing whatsoever on what is truth. Just what's classified and what's approved and what's not. Enclosed are copies of the cleared as amended manuscript pages. Amendments are clearly identified with blacked out text where applicable. Additional text provides recommended alternative language for some of the amendments. I enclose also a stamped copy of the first page of the manuscript. The amendments protect from new releases, quote, non-public information, which can include classified national security information, controlled unclassified information, operational security information, export controlled information, and unclassified information that may individually or aggregate lead to the compromise of classified information. The amendments may not be exclusive to the Department of Defense, as manuscript reviews often require consultation with other federal agencies who own information in the manuscript. This clearance does not include any photograph, picture, exhibit, caption, or other supplemental materials not specifically approved by this office, nor does this clearance apply DoD endorsement or factual accuracy of the material. Let me read that again. Nor does this clearance imply DoD endorsement or factual accuracy of the material. You are responsible for sourcing and acknowledgement of all the photos in your manuscript to include any stock footage you use of military equipment. This office notes that your manuscript may include names and other personal identifiable information of former or active duty service members. DoD employees and third-party individuals, the release of which could be a violation of the privacy rights of these individuals. As the author, you are solely responsible for the release of any personal information and its legal implications. If you have not done so already, you may wish to consult these individuals and obtain permission to include their PII in the manuscript. If you are not satisfied with this response, you may request that the office reconsider initial determination within 60 days of the response, yada, 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 yada. Oh, this is interesting. This office requires that you add the following disclaimers prior to publishing the manuscript. Quote, the views expressed in this publication are those of the author and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Department of Defense of the U.S. government. The public release clearance of this publication by the Department of Defense does not imply Department of Defense endorsement or factual accuracy of the material. Please direct any questions regarding this case to blanked out. So it's so nice they repeated it twice. That this approval does not mean that this manuscript is true. So, again, and Chris writes here, the Dobson review for Lue Elizondo does not check for accuracy in his claims. That means he can claim anything as long as national security isn't compromised, no matter how false the claims. So he can make up things about being the czar of torture, the Darth Vader of Guantanamo Bay, whatever it is. And if it doesn't mess with classified information, he can say whatever the hell he wants. So there you have it, guys. Like, you guys do whatever you want with that information. You bang your drum and thank the gods. Or you look at this information and with a logical mind on your shoulders and you come to an adult conclusion. Okay? Use your adult brain. Not the one that believes in Santa Claus, not the one that believes. Put your beliefs at the fucking door. Does this information make sense to you? The way it's presented? The way it's coming out of two sides of one person's mouth? The information, depending on who they're sitting in front of? Do any of these things put up red flags for you? If they do, if you genuinely hate watching this show, which I know there's a lot of you, okay? Ask yourself these fucking questions. And if you don't like the answers, continue to follow that rabbit hole. Because we'll be here. We'll be here ready for you to become a fan of the show again. Because all of you guys got pissed off at me for telling you the truth. I lost $40,000 a year for telling you guys the truth. So do with this information what you will. It's really on you guys. I'm not telling you what to believe. You guys come to your own conclusions. And if you come to the conclusion that all this shit is real, well, I don't know what to tell you, man. I really don't. I don't know what to do for you. But I have a feeling you're in Twitter spaces for 20 out of the 24 hours a day. So there's probably no helping you at all anyway. Honestly, if you look at this information, if you really look at this whole story from 2017 till now, and really go before 2017, go to OSAP. From OSAP till now, from the Bigelow days till now, and what has it produced? What has it produced that has changed the world? Or gotten you closer to any sort of answer? Bobby Broadway went from being banned on celebrity reviews to a super fan. I love it. Absolutely love it. Want to thank everybody who came. Gracie Tavares, 75 YBA, Michael Wade, Sparky Pilot, who's a wonderful mod. Complete Zero with the donations. Thank you so damn much. Bobby Broadway, Bradbury, Archangel Reese. Complete Zero. I'm so nice, I'll say it twice. Simon Fly. You guys, B. Baker. U-Card Not Mop. Plasma ball spheres, ball lightning may explain some, and it's important natural phenomenon by itself, if true. I agree. Very, very good contribution. Technics keeps getting their... I don't know what you're saying, but if it's getting deleted by our Sparky Pilot, it must be stupid. Anyway, you guys, thank you so damn much for coming and hanging out. Again, if you haven't liked the show, what are you doing? Like the show. If you stuck around this far, subscribe to the show if you haven't already. Share the show. Tell everybody your favorite parts. Link them. Link the show with a timestamp of your favorite part. I'm trying to edit as many clips as I can so you guys can share these things. So check me out on Twitter at Lue Angeles. And yeah, I think that's everything. Is that everything? Have a great week, you guys. Enjoy your week. And yeah. Thank you for embarking on this journey of discovery together. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and thank you, all of you, for subscribing to Lue Reviews and helping raise the bar. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you soon. Peace out.